G'day everyone, Fiona here. Just doing a video today on the final of the first three units, 3005, apply privacy and security. So just going to my folder. I want you to get out for this video. You always need the learner guide out, that's a given. The activities booklet, the UPK, and there is a work diary at the back. I'll do a separate video for each section. This one is the activities. Okay, so I love this unit. I love law units because a lot of law units you don't have to do a lot of thinking about interpretation. You just simply find the answer in the legislation, copy it over, makes it nice and easy. So what we've got here is we open up the booklet. It tells you, unfortunately, this is the first book that does not give you reference on where to find the answers, but it should be in accordance with your booklet. So you've got, this is a very thin booklet. You'll feel how thin it is. The contents are very clear. It's basically around privacy and security of the client, of yourself, the data you're collecting, and the people that you're working for. It starts on page 10 with client details. So in the questions, we have list 5 details you should confirm with clients. It has all 5 or 6 of those. They're giving you 6 choices on page 9 to choose from. You just need to choose 5 of those. You can also add some in if you want to, but you really need to show me that you've read the content, okay? So if you've just gone rogue and Googled it, please find some information from the content to pop in there. Activity 1B is list 5 details relating to work site access and security arrangements you should clarify with the client. That is activity 1B is on page 11 and 12, the content for that. It says specifically you should clarify, okay? So these are the things you need to clarify. When you should be there, signing in procedures, emergency phone numbers, details of the security company, what to do in that the event of an emergency. Now, when you think about this and you think, oh, why would I need to know what to do in the event of an emergency? I remember one night we were working for a client in Beresfield. I was not on this particular night. One of the girls working for the company was separated from her husband due to domestic violence. And when they arrived at the site, they thought they saw his car driving off from the site, and he was aware of the sites that she cleaned. So when they approached the site, the gate was unlocked, which was very rare for this particular company. The cleaners drove in, obviously a bit jittered, a bit shaken already, a bit concerned, and locked the gate, went to the front door, and the front door handle was loose. They walked into the building and the alarm was not on. They thought they saw a light in the back of the workshop go off, so they called the police, like immediately. That was not the protocol. They completely ignored the protocol and called the police. So there would have been about 5 or 6 layers of protocol between that. They did actually call the supervisor, who was quite new to the company, who called the police. So we had after hours numbers, we had all sorts of different things. There was a security company that actually monitored that site, but the cleaners were scared and they did the right thing at the time. So what that did is brought a lot of unnecessary attention to the company, and they gave notice a couple of weeks later. So it could be unrelated that they gave notice, but they did give notice. If you don't get the security details right and then follow them, problems. All right, so question 1C, list 3 details you should clarify with a client where you can and cannot go on site. This is really important. A lot of places have locked offices. They might have a HR office that they open for you on one particular night and then you need to close it. There could be child protection issues. We've worked in police stations and schools and doctors' surgeries. So the answer to that's found on 14 for that one. 1D, list 5 assurances you could provide to a client when you are List 5 assurances you might give to a client when relating to your policy about maintaining privacy. Okay, so you need to know the privacy details of your company. That is found, question 1D is found on page 16, the answer to 1D. And if you're following your booklet through, this is the easiest booklet you're probably ever going to get given, because it really is copy and paste, because it's a legal one. There's no really wrong answer. There's just the one answer we've been given. 2A, explain why it's important to obtain information on client preferences. Now, when it asks you to explain, remember it's asking you to do your own explanation. Client preferences is on page 19. So it says you need to confirm procedures, but explain why it's important to obtain client preferences and workplace procedures for dealing with personal risks or incidents via email. So chopping this question up, it's not asking you why the information is important and why we gather it. They're asking you why you get it via email or site inductions as well as over the phone. And the reason for that, obviously, is it's a legal requirement, but you can refer back to it if there's a problem. So many staff, oh, hey, John, where's your non-slip shoes? No one ever told me to wear non-slip shoes. Oh, okay, is this your signature on the bottom of the induction form where it says to wear non-slip shoes? You would not believe how many times you've got to refer back to your induction. And so it's really important that the employer gets that in writing. So the other thing that you might have at induction is, for example, if we come and the alarm's going off, we won't clean tonight. So on Monday morning, when you come into a dirty office, but your security company and the police have been, you can understand why your office isn't clean. List 5 aspects of work you should confirm procedures for. Okay, you need to confirm procedures for. There's 7 or 8 items listed on page 19. It's just asking you to provide 5. Just provide the 5 that resonate with you, the 5 that pop out to you. What is a security breach? A security breach is listed on page 21. A security breach can be so many different things. It could be a break-in, it could be a theft, it could be just a broken window, could be an incident or an accident can breach security. So there's lots of different things there that can be a security breach. List 5 breach of security procedures you should clarify with the client. What to do if this happens. What do I do if the alarm continues to go off? What do I do if I notice there's graffiti on the front door when I arrive? What do I do if? And you need to have processes in place, and you should know who to call. Explain why it's important to access the client's worksite on arrival and secure it before leaving according to all agreed procedures. So that's on page 24, that one. And that basically says, for reasons of professionalism, you need to come and go via the door that you're told to. You need to arrive on site and secure it before leaving in agreement with the procedure. And the procedure might be lock all, you might arrive to all internal office doors unlocked for you to clean, but they might all need to be locked when you leave. Some might need to be locked, some might need to be unlocked. If there's a section, you might need to get the key for the HR office, clean the HR office, and then lock it on your way out. A lot of companies, the HR and payroll office and the general manager's office do not even get cleaned. Staff clean it, and we cleaners don't clean those areas. List 5 steps you may have to go through to deactivate and reactivate a security system. Now, I want you to start paying attention to security systems that you see. I've got one here in my house I use as a demo. Our security system is activated with a button, so we can be driving out the driveway, boop, put the alarm system on. It can also be activated by somebody having a shower. So our alarm is linked to the fire alarm in this house. So deactivating and reactivating systems, you might have to deactivate a section. You might have to do it using a key fob coming in and out of the building. There's lots of different ways to do it, and you need to be aware of the different ways, and they're located on page 26. Sometimes when I induct new cleaners to a new site, I set the alarm off. and we stand there and listen to it for a second, and then I get them to deactivate it so that if the alarm ever goes off, they don't freak out. List 5 steps in accessing and securing the correct areas of worksite. So that means that you could be locking doors behind you. You might have to install barricades. You might have to be saying that it's ventilated, shutting down the lights when you're leaving a particular area, that sort of thing. So they're located on page 28, those answers. Why is it important to maintain the confidentiality of client information during and after cleaning? I remember probably the most important, incident that I suppose that we had was, as I said, we worked for a lot of companies that did child protection. And there was a particular woman who had come to work for us, and she was working for this particular client. And they later found out that her children had been removed from her care and placed into foster care. And she was found rummaging through paperwork to try and see if that company was the company that placed her children. And while that's a devastating thing for her to have been displaced from her children, if you're a cleaner and you might have access to information that you know about people that you know, police stations, medical centre, dentists, child protection, we work for places like Life Without Barriers, and even with the JobLink office, you might see a friend's paperwork on a desk. The client needs to know that you're going to keep that information private, that you won't take photos, that you won't look at the information that you have access to, and only collecting the information that's absolutely necessary. So the answer to 3D is located on page 30. List 5 steps you should take to make sure you maintain the confidentiality of client information. It says here, maintaining confidentiality before, during, and after the clean, why it's important. So 3D is asking you why it's important. And 3D section 2, list 5 steps, is asking you what steps you would take. List 5 signs of a security breach you should look out for and listen for. And this can be things like broken windows, broken doors. So that's in 34. It can be just so subtle. I remember at Mayfield in Newcastle, we were doing a clean where everything was perfectly pristine, except the petty cash box was missing. And we would come in and we would sign in, and there would be a drawer that we'd have to unlock and open to get keys out. And in that drawer was all of the keys and the petty cash box, and it was missing. And our cleaners didn't notice, and they went about their business, wiped everything down, and the police were called Monday morning and there was no prints anywhere. So they kind of thought it was the cleaners. You really need to be on your game and noticing things, because we're the first ones to be blamed for something. So being really aware of your environment, taking lots of photos of anything you think's not right, broken doors and things like that, and sending them to your supervisor and saying, oh, just this doesn't look right. I just thought I should report it. Oh, that's nothing. Don't worry about it. That window's been broken for 3 days. You come in on Monday and there's been a break-in. So you've covered yourself. List 5 risks to personal security you may encounter while on site. These are really important because there's lots of different risks that we face, dust and fibre and electrical and things like that, but other people provide a risk. I know that, when we're working between 4 p.m. and 1 a.m., drunk people around, that sort of thing, lots of different risks. Fatigue is a risk, lighting is a risk. So 4B's answer is on page 36. List 5 ways of identifying risk. Now, we asked during this whole course, you're asked a lot about risks and hazards, a lot. And that's because we want it to be top of mind for you, to be constantly thinking about your safety and security. So identifying risks can happen in so many different ways, but we've basically got on page, where are we? 4B, on page 37. Okay, so how to look for risk. So that's on page 36. To identify risks, explore the site. Have a look, keep your eyes open, look for the risks. So that's the end. List 5 incidents involving personal security is 4C, and that's the last question in this booklet. And the answer to that is found, I'll tell you, page 39 and 40. And basically it says incidents involving personal security. Okay, so it can be all sorts of things, slips, trips, falls, toxic chemicals, emergencies, faulty equipment, physical confrontation, scratches and cuts. So list 5 incidents involving personal security. And that's just basically your own safety and secureness to you as an individual. Robberies, theft, all those sorts of things. In the whole time that I had my cleaning business of 5 years, we never had a serious incident like that. Very blessed. We had really good safety security protocols. So when you're working for the company, just ask them what they are. We'd go and do an inspection of the site to make sure that it was well lit. So when your van pulled in, that you could have your headlights pointing out to see the car park and things like that. So it was unlikely that anyone was going to be able to hide and do that sort of thing. So that is the end of the activities booklet for Apply Privacy and Security.